Hello and good afternoon, good morning and good evening. Welcome to this collaborative session between the B Corp movement and Regeneration 2030. We're excited to present this session as the fourth installment of B Lab's ongoing Interdependence Unpacked series. My name is Nathan Gilbert. I'm the Executive Director of B Lab Europe, and I will be your host today. We have a really exciting conversation for you entitled Multinationals in the B Corp Movement, a transformative and collaborative journey to redefine success in business. We are here with Tracey, project lead for Givaudan's Purpose, Anne-Sophie Gougeon, Sustainable Development Manager at Bonduelle, Hugo Di Francesco, CEO of Chiesi, and Alexandra, Global Sustainability and B Corp Manager at Danone. Now, before I go to our speakers, there's some of you out there that might be new to the B Corp movement. So I'd like to give a quick overview and framing for today's conversation, and hopefully many of you were also able to join the plenary panel on the B Corp model that was just a few hours ago. The B Corp movement is an ever-growing community of companies committed to using business as a force for good. Certified B Corps must complete a rigorous evaluation of companies' social and environmental performance and embed stakeholder governance into the legal DNA. B corporations are companies that put into practice those words we just saw in the Declaration of Interdependence. There are now over 3,500 certified B Corps globally, across 65 different countries, among 150 different industries, all with a common goal to build a more inclusive, equitable, and regenerative economy. With the vision to transform our global economy, this movement requires the engagement of all companies, small and large. In the beginning, the B Corp movement started attracting small and mid-sized companies, private enterprises. In the first 5 years since B Lab launched B Corp certification, its growth and energy was driven by these sized companies. However, to reach our intended objective, we had to find a way to engage with large multinationals and stock-listed companies. In the last 5 to 8 years, we've seen more and more multinationals get involved. Some of these companies are subsidiaries of larger public companies, such as Ben & Jerry's, which first certified in 2012. And if you jump to today, Unilever, its owner, has since acquired 7 more B Corps as it continues to develop its sustainable living portfolio. Other major multinationals, including Nestle, Campbell's Soup, Coca-Cola, and the Gap, have either acquired B Corps or supported their subsidiaries to pursue B Corp certification, seeing their impact as relevant as their financial potential. We've seen the certification of stock-listed companies such as Laureate Education and Natura, which later acquired The Body Shop, as well as the public stock offerings of B Corps Lemonade and Ola Loose. And we have seen global multinationals such as Danone commit to certifying its entire business. And since commencing their B Corp journey, they have certified over 24 subsidiaries, representing 45% of their total turnover. And they intend to reach group certification by 2025. Now, I know Kiazi is up there as well, but I'll leave their story for Hugo. So all these milestones are to say that large and public companies are increasingly taking leadership to address our compounding crises and moving their business to benefit all stakeholders. It is with these large companies that we'll have a significant opportunity to shift the course of business to create systems change and impact. And this shift is not just occurring within the B Corp movement. Just over a year ago, we saw 200 CEOs of major stock-listed companies as part of the Business Roundtable show their support for stakeholder capitalism. Having solutions and a community to offer, the B Corp movement responded to this announcement with a call, with our own call to action. Let's get to work. An invitation for the Business Roundtable companies and other companies to put these words into practice. One example of a company walking the walk and taking a credible step towards embedding stakeholder principles into their business was Danone's recent adoption of the new legal structure in France, Société à Mission, where the mission of the company became embedded into its governance and legal framework. And so while the B Corp movement is accelerating the foundations for a more inclusive, equitable, and regenerative economy, we are encouraged by the engagement of the really large multinational corporations that see their role in this movement and simultaneously seek the support and collaboration of this community to realize the transformation required to get there. But we also know that this transformation takes time. And for really large corporations, this can be a significant undertaking. Just last month, B Lab publicly launched a new initiative to provide meaningful support and engagement for those multinationals that are on this journey. This program is called the B Movement Builders, a blueprint for business transformation centered around impact, credibility, and collaboration. It also provides a streamlined path for companies who aspire to become certified. And this program was launched recognizing the importance of the transformation journey in and of itself, not just the end goal of certification. So here are our program's founding companies, and we're thrilled to have Givaudan, Bonduelle, and Danone as a mentor in the program with us today to share with us more about their experiences. Combined, these 6 companies represent over $60 billion in turnover, over 250,000 employees. They're present in over 120 different countries and have the potential to influence the 5 industries that they represent: cosmetics, flavors and fragrances, food and beverage, retail, and steel. And we're thrilled to have the opportunity to share their stories with you today. So as the B Corp movement goes big, our sights are set on the next decade, a decade of action, collaboration, transformation, and impact. And so thank you for the opportunity to open up this conversation. I'd like to now turn toward our speakers. And first, I'd like to invite Hugo de Francesco, the CEO of Chiesi Pharmaceuticals, to speak. So Hugo, while you're not involved with the B Movement Builder program, Kiazi is quite a pioneer in the B movement, having already completed the certification of your global business. I'd like you to introduce yourself and the company and share with us what you feel has been a unique experience for you and the company in your B Corp journey.
Okay, thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Hugo Di Francesco. I'm the Group CEO of Ksi Pharmaceutical, and Chiesi is a mid-sized global pharmaceutical group with R&D driven, so with investments on research and development which are beyond the 20% of our turnover. And we are operating with direct presence in almost 30 countries around the world, and with partners all around the globe. And as you said, we have been the first pharmaceutical company of our size, international group, to become a B Corp certified in the world. Having said that, I don't know if it is something which is unique only for us. Definitely, there are a few elements which maybe to me is worth to share with the audience. One is the point that the DNA of a pharma company is to prolong and to save lives. And it makes, to some extent, let's say, a physiological process to have a natural attention to concepts like attention to others, attention to patients, the community, and the environment. Another element which I believe was relevant for us is the fact that despite we are an international group and we are located in all around the world, the fact to be located in a territory like Parma, the place where the Regeneration 2030 is 2020-2030 is happening today, is to some extent played another important role, because a company of our size in a city like Parma assumes also an important role toward the social and economic tissue of the society. The second point is the fact that the B Corp certification is not just, let's say, a goal. Has been real and truly a global and collective achievement. And we were able, doing it, we involved all our people around the world. And our goal since the beginning was to be certified as a global group and not just as a single affiliate. And basically to do it, we identified areas of evolution in the whole company. And through them, we established best practices that then we had spread across our affiliates. And to do it, it took 1 whole year. Was dedicated to define actions for corporate and local improvement, and we involved hundreds of people in our country teams. Last but not least, you mentioned it before during your introduction about Danone. For us, and it is something which maybe it is relevant for any important transformative project that a company can run, and it is the commitment of the top. In our case, this commitment of the top was even reinforced by the fact that, in the top of the company is also represented by the shareholders of the group. And to do it, first of all, the first action we took was in December 2018, and we changed our legal structure of the company. So we changed our structure and the bylaws, adopting the legal status of public benefit corporation, which is basically was introduced in Italy with a law in 2015, and Italy, together with the United States, with USA, has been the first two countries in the world to adopt this new legal status. And this is not just a change in our legal framework. This is really a transformation which revolutionize our way of being a company. And this is pretty simple because it is legally required today as a benefit corporation to consider the impact of our decision on our people, on our workers, of course, but also on supplier, on the community and the environment. So balancing the purpose of profit between the profit to generate profit, that of course remains as our main goal, but with a view to create value for, as we said before, for suppliers, for the community and the environment. And for us, if we go back to the first point, in a pharmaceutical company, it's part of our DNA to pay attention to patients, but also to the community and the environment. And basically, it was something which was really felt since the beginning as really part of the spirit of our group. Within our new bylaws, which have been, of course, a consequence of the new legal status, we decided to incorporate 4 main purposes of public and general benefit. First of all, it was the commitment to constant innovation for the sustainability of all corporate processes and practices. Of course, when we talk about innovation, everybody referring to a pharmaceutical company thinks that innovation is mainly related to discover new products, to discover new pharmaceutical treatment, maybe to cure diseases. But it is not only. Innovation was also related to the concept to generate constant innovation also in a sustainable way in all our corporate processes and practices, not just discovering and developing new pharmaceutical products. The second commitment in our bylaw is to create a positive impact on people and patients with the goal of improving their, of course, the health, but also the well-being and the quality of life. The third element, commitment taken, has been to give a clear and real contribution to the development of our local communities. And by local communities, we don't mean just Parma, where we are based as an headquarters, but in every communities where we operate all around the world. And then, finally, the commitment to promote a conscious and sustainable way of doing business. All of it to say that the concept like shared value and double purposes were always, to some extent, part and embedded in ourselves, in our way of doing business and doing work, but also in our attitude and behaviors during our lives as citizens. Being a B Corp, and here by experience, having been certified almost 2 years ago, is something which requires a change in the culture and in the mindset of all our people. And the point is to do it, we have, and all together, we have to make it visible and framed within a global goal to achieve and to complement everything at 360 degrees. For example, to do it, is a journey, and within the point we said before, to make visible and framed with some goals, we also declared officially the goal that we want to become a company carbon neutrality, so completely carbon footprint neutral by 2035. And this is a clear goal which is now known, and it is definitely measured with targets to achieve every single year, and every single employee within our 6,500 people, which are part of our big families, knows it, and we refer regularly to our people about where we are with achievement of this goal. Final, and to me, let me stress this point and to highlight what it was extremely positive for me when basically something which was shocking to some extent has been the enthusiasm and the, let's say, the proactivity of all our people around the globe that we announced our goal to become a B Corp, to obtain the certification of a B Corp. The reaction was extremely outstanding, also from an emotional point of view. And basically, as I said before, it was something which acted as a booster for all of us in achieving this goal. And I land this, let's say, 8 minutes talk with, again, also another sentence, where to me was another proof. And if I have to tell you what have been the people most proactive and also pushing all of us toward this goal have been the youngest generations. And I believe that we have a lot to learn from them in relation to this topic. Thanks
Hugo,
a lot.
Thank you very much for sharing your journey with us. I'd like to now turn to Anne-Sophie Gougeon from Bonduelle. And so Anne-Sophie, Bonduelle is not certified yet at the moment, but it's been investigating, committing itself to the journey for a few years now. And so Bonduelle is now part of the B Movement Builder program and engages closely with this movement and with some of the companies here on this call. Can you share with us what have been some of the biggest hurdles for Bonduelle to overcome in pursuing this path? And what do you feel are the more challenging next steps for the company to take?
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you today. So for those who don't know Bonduelle, just a quick word. Bonduelle is a plant-based food manufacturer that was created in 1853 in France. And it's a family-run business with strong social values and a particular connection to the land and to the farmers we partner with. And our social and environmental commitments have been growing and growing until 2 years ago when our chairman decided to become a B Corp certified company by 2025 for the whole group. And it has also been reaffirmed this year with Bonduelle being one of the founding members of the B Movement Builders. And so to answer your question, Nathan, on the biggest hurdle for Bonduelle, I think the first challenge that we faced is for people internally to understand what B Corp is if you are not a sustainability specialist. I'm used to saying that it's like learning a second language, so it takes time. And also because it's a company commitment, it is essential that the action plans and what it requires in terms of transformation transpires and is integrated into the job functions. In my opinion, it is what distinguishes a company that is performant in terms of CSR and a B Corp. I think in a B Corp, sustainable development is integrated everywhere and in the business model itself. And maybe when you become a B Corp, you don't need a CSR department anymore. And the second challenge is that, and it's linked to the first one, is that even if you are a CSR champion, and at least you thought you were, once you evaluate yourself with the B Impact Assessment, the B Corp questionnaire, it's like a reality check. And for Bonduelle, we discovered that we still had a few steps to work in our B journey. For example, in Bonduelle, the majority of our sites are engaged in local community projects. And however, it's not fully coordinated through global policy or measured properly, so it cannot really be credited in the B Impact Assessment. And the B journey can be somehow destabilizing because it pushes companies to question processes that have been in place for a long time and need to be improved. But I think it's really something that helps the companies at the end improve and be more structured and efficient at the end. And so I think that the challenge for a company of our size is the size itself. Most of the B Corps are small and agile, and sometimes innovative in terms of governance. Because usually the B Corps created the difference they wanted to make in the world, and then they built the business case for it. And for us, it's different. We are a regular company, traditional, that wants to embrace change and become a purpose-driven company. And we know it will require time and effort and endurance. And so yes, it's a long journey.
So, Anne-Sophie, I mean, this is very much a journey of transformation for Bonduelle, as you're saying. I'm wondering, can you share with us what are the areas of impact that you feel Bonduelle sees itself really leaning into now and in the future?
It's a great question you ask here, and this is exactly what we have been discussing internally and in the past few weeks and months. Because after completing the B Impact Assessment, Bonduelle could actually see the different areas of improvement and possibilities. And well, there are many, because if if you want to get to 200 points, of course, you can do many things and improve in many ways. And this is where we started asking ourselves where in what areas Bonduelle could really excel and go above and beyond. And you have some topics that you choose. Either you are performant in terms of CSR, and it's good already. And there are other topics where it really makes sense. And this is why we started the discussion on what was our purpose or our mission. We already had a purpose that was formulated in 2012, but it was good to see how this purpose would resonate today, because sustainable development has evolved, and a lot of things have moved in 8 years. So reflecting on the purpose was asking the following questions: what is Bonduelle good at? What is Bonduelle paid for? What do we love? And what does the world need? And asking those is very interesting, because you get feedback also internally, and if you have a chance to share with external stakeholders, it might also help you in this reflection. And the different consensus we had on is actually something that we knew already, but that was only reinforced, is that Bonduelle has a role to play in inspiring the transition towards plant-based diets, because we are convinced that the preservation of our ecosystem and environment will happen only by changing what we eat, and also, of course, the way we produce our food. We believe that feeding people sustainably has become a major challenge, and the food system is at the heart of major issues that this century is facing, with the growing demand for food together with the population growth. And so if we ask ourselves, how can we go above and all of the company's borders, what difference can we make? And well, as you know, 1/3 of the GHG emissions are linked to the food system from farm to fork, and the majority of those are linked to animal feed or livestock. Deforestation, for example, and the loss of natural habitats is also linked with the land use conversion for beef and soy, for example, and so on. So at Bonduelle, we are really convinced that we have a role to play that goes beyond the pure production of goods, and that we could, for example, address consumer behavior by also understanding the root causes, and maybe provide, for example, education to the consumption of more healthy plant-based diets, and also understanding, for example, the barrier that are preventing people from adopting a healthy and sustainable diet. And also because, this plant-based food evolution needs to be made together with the way we produce our food. And this is something that is very important for Bonduelle. We've been improving the way we partner with the farmers, helping them in the agricultural practices that they have, etc. And we still can evolve and through innovation find a better way to preserve our planet. And I'm sure the food system can be a very good leverage for this.
Anne-Sophie, thank you so much for sharing, and look forward to working with you as we continue this journey together. I'd like to move on to another B Movement Builder company, Givaudan. So Martha, not only has Givaudan joined the B Movement Builder program, it has also publicly announced its ambition to certify as a B Corp, so congratulations, by the way. Beyond taking these steps to be more involved with this movement, Givaudan has been on its own journey to establish and embed purpose across the business. So can you share with us how this journey has been defined and shaped, and what are the more meaningful aspects that this brings to the company in your view?
Thank you, Nathan, and it's great to be here today. And I think listening to Hugo and Anne-Sophie, I'm also going to reflect some of the themes they've already mentioned. So just to start, a few words about Givaudan, as although it's a company whose products are enjoyed by everyone every day, it's relatively unknown. So we're a Swiss-based taste, well-being, fragrance and beauty company. And put simply, that means we contribute fragrances, flavors and other active ingredients to many well-known consumer brands that all of us use every day. And we're a truly global organization. We have around 16,000 employees in over 180 locations. And being purpose-led has been at the heart of the company since the founders were harvesting lavender in southern France over 250 years ago. But in the last years, we've realized that we want to go even further. And so the role that I am playing is to help to lead Givaudan's journey to bring purpose back to the organization through 3 phases. 1, rediscovery, 2, embedding, and 3, activation. And I'd like to share a little bit more about our journey so far. So firstly, on rediscovery, the objective of this phase has been to develop our guiding star, so to set the future direction for the organisation and to do it in a way that's right for people, for planet, and for business performance. And the process that we took to do this was incredibly inclusive. We involved over 500 people from within the organisation, but also customers, suppliers, and other partners. And we took those insights along with other key inputs, such as the Sustainable Development Goals, and ultimately captured the purpose, or the why Givaudan exists, through the phase of creating for happier, healthier lives with love for nature. And this has 2 elements to it. It has the cementing of our role in society, the contribution that we have to our customers' products, which deliver on happiness and health, as well as reinforcing our commitment as an organisation to put nature first in everything we do. We do also have a second part of our purpose, which is a call to action. It's the Let's Imagine Together. And this is built on our reflection that these are big ambitions. We cannot deliver on the purpose alone. And it also reflects the more partnership model of our business as well. So we have the statement, but we all know the mantra that you can only manage what you measure. So we also wanted to set some measurable goals, which provide a clear focus for us over the next years as we adapt to this new business direction. And these are organised under clear areas of creations, people, nature, and communities. And under there, we have more specific targets related to greenhouse gas emissions and other critical elements. So when we launched our purpose statement, the goals, it was clear from the reception that this was the right evolution for us. Colleagues automatically resonated with it, and it's been very much welcomed by our customers and other partners as being a natural part of Givaudan. So that was the rediscovery phase. And over the last 12 months, we've been in what we've called the phase of embedding. And we really didn't want our purpose to just be a statement on posters. So in those last 12 months, we've been focusing on bringing the purpose to life. But of course, the last 8 months haven't at all been the year that we would have expected. But actually, if there is a silver lining to COVID, I think it has given us an opportunity to live up to our purpose in more ways than we would have initially thought of. And I'd like to give you a couple of examples. So we have a goal area of people. And as with all organisations, the critical priority over the last 8 months has been in keeping our employees safe. But of course, with the changing situation, we know everyone is experiencing this crisis differently. And this situation has given us the courage and the impetus to start focusing so much more on mental health and caring for the mental health of all of our teams. If I take another area of creations, the situation has demonstrated that our need to keep our manufacturing, our supply lines open to contribute to critical products in sanitation, in hygiene, and in food supply chains. So reinforcing how we contribute to happier, healthier lives in society. So hopefully, as some of these examples demonstrate, being purpose-led is a lot more than our measurable targets and a lot more than the purpose statement on a piece of paper. And another example of our desire to turn this from paper into more action was setting out our ambition to become a B Corp. And very much we've seen this ambition and our desire to move so boldly in this direction has been to reinforce our conviction and our commitments, both internally and externally, to be a force for good. And then joining the B Movement Builders is yet again a part of our broader intent to be a role model, to inspire and collaborate with all the great companies that are here today as well, to be a more responsible business for us and for other companies. So the final big step that we've taken this year to embed our purpose has been the launch of our 2025 strategy. And purpose as a North Star and being embedded throughout the decisions, the strategic direction of the company has been clear in the recent articulation of our 5-year plan. And this is also demonstrated through the introduction of some non-financial ambitions to go alongside our financial ones, changing the focus or reinforcing the focus over the next 5 years. So I think through all those events and actions of the embedding phase this year, we've seen that balancing people, planet and profit are critical for us to be a successful, sustainable business, but we really are just at the start. So we're now moving into a phase that we'll call the third phase, which we're calling activation. And so while the engagement from the organisation has been significant, we still have such a long way to go to get purpose and being purpose-led into the heads, hearts and hands of our 16,000 colleagues. We've got lots of people asking questions, wanting to get involved, wanting to see change, and colleagues at all levels suggesting and starting to implement different solutions. But of course, the traditional corporate model of doing things top down does not necessarily allow all of this energy, enthusiasm and ideas to come to life. So we're currently grappling with questions about how do we bring our call to action of let's imagine together to life? How do we really enable it to happen and to move purpose into 16,000 people's day to day? And do we need to shift to a perhaps more entrepreneurial culture where we find more ways to bring humanity, simplicity, innovation into the way we do things, and ultimately activating purpose in a way that better serves our customers while also increasing employee engagement, accountability and empowerment? So we're really just embarking on how we animate these next few steps, but being part of this community, the wider B Corp community, and participating in forums such as these are great assets and inspiration areas as we find our way. And really what's more, we hope that we are able to inspire other multinationals by our journey and to inspire them to follow similar routes to be the change that we all want and need to see in the world. So just to sum up, the 3 phases that we've been through was 1, rediscovery, using an inclusive process, which was authentic to us because we believe that will make it stand the test of time. 2, finding ways to embed the purpose mantra of people, planet and profit across everything we do, because we see that that helps us to manage risk and uncertainty in a much stronger way. And 3, activating purpose through all our communities, because by enabling us to use purpose, we can create more strategic levers for innovation, for growth, for engagement and for partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martha. Thank you. It's evident by your story of Givaudan's purpose and how that connects to the B Corp journey that you're now embarking on, as well as the what we heard from Anne-Sophie and Hugo, that for these size companies, embracing the B Corp journey, as well as a more just purpose-led journey, is really one that's going to take time, and there's many different elements to it. So thank you for sharing how Givaudan has approached this. I'd like to now turn to Alex Heaven, who's the B Corp manager at Danone, to share her perspective with you. So Danone has been on this journey on certification for quite some time, now over 5 years. It's certified 25 subsidiaries. That represents 45% of the business in terms of turnover. It's now a B Movement Builder participant as a mentor to support other multinationals that are on this journey, as we've just heard. And so, Alex, you personally have been involved with this effort for, I believe, nearly that whole timeline. So what is, in your view, the biggest success and the biggest challenge to date that Danone's faced in supporting this transformational process?
Thanks, Nathan, and hi, everyone. Thanks for having me as part of the session. So, yes, as you said, we've been on the B Corp journey for about 5 years. Danone, as a quick introduction, is a global food and beverage company present in over 100 countries and across 3 different sectors. So dairy and plant-based products, beverages and waters, and specialized nutrition, which is really focusing on early life and medical nutrition. And yes, we have, I think late 2015, early 2016 is when we started our B Corp journey. And I've been working in the B Corp team since early 2016, so the whole way through. And I think that Danone really embarked on this journey back then for a few different reasons. I think, first of all, we have always in Danone had this idea of dual purpose of social and economic progress. And this idea of interdependence was really growing in our food system and inside the business. And we recognized that the food system was being challenged from outside, and completely rightfully so. We recognized those challenges were really valid, and we wanted to work on them as well. So I think alongside this dual purpose that we had, B Corp was a way for us to check and manage our strategy towards creating stakeholder value in an interdependent system that the food system is. And importantly, it was also a way for us to prove that it can be done by multinationals. I think there was a lot of mistrust of multinationals and their sustainability efforts, but it's absolutely essential that multinationals are part of the change, as Martha said, that we want and need to see in the world. So multinationals can genuinely aim and work towards creating positive impact. And we wanted to be a sustainable business and prove to other multinationals that this can be part of your business model, and that sustainable business for multinationals can be mainstream. So in terms of some of the successes that we've seen over the past 5 years, one of those is absolutely the interest from other large companies. We have had right since the beginning of our journey, we have had a lot of other large companies, our suppliers, our partners, our peers, getting in touch with us and asking, is it possible? How is it possible? How do we do this? And being really interested. And of course, we've got the launch of the B Movement Builders this year. And so I think that there's a real turning point in stakeholder-oriented business models for large companies. And that's been something that's very encouraging for us. And a huge reason that we're in this. And I think even though we have been working really closely with you at B Lab and some of those other companies to build what it looks like for multinationals and how it can be possible, and getting that right balance between challenging us and working with multinationals to be able to be certified, there is it's great to see these other companies coming on board so we can work in a bigger community to drive that change and increase even further and encourage other businesses to be to get on board. So that's definitely a really big success and something I'm very happy to see. Another thing that I would say is maybe more of a delight, because in fact it wasn't something we specifically worked on, but it's something that we saw right from the beginning, is that the commitment and dedication from people across all of the companies that we work in, all of the countries, of people to push for this goal. So as soon as people understood what B Corp was, or a couple of people understood what B Corp was, they were really passionate about the model that B Corp represents. So we had people in Indonesia, in Egypt, in Senegal, Bangladesh, China, who were proactively reaching out to us in the corporate team and asking to lead their own B Corp certification journey, despite there being a really tiny movement in those countries. So I think that this is proof of the success that B Lab has had in creating the B Corp movement in general and creating a solution that really resonates. It resonates as we face one of the largest problems across society at the moment, which is that the structure of the economy being focused on value creation for shareholders rather than balancing that for everyone. And B Corp is really representing a way to move past that to a more positive business model that is more stakeholder oriented. And the fact that we have people in all of these countries who quickly get on board with that idea and are passionate and dedicated towards turning their businesses inside Danone into a B Corp, I think really shows that we are on the right path, and this is the right model that we are pursuing. However, on the other side, of course, there are some challenges. So even though that a couple of minutes ago I said that we are proving this can be done by big business, I will say that it hasn't been it hasn't been a breeze. There are some challenges. One of the big challenges for us at Danone is on the data collection side. We have a lot of different reporting streams. We've got lots of HR reporting, carbon reporting, of course, all the topics to do with our products. So what we really needed to focus on is how we can make B Corp live inside each of our subsidiaries while not being an extra burden in terms of reporting. So we're trying really hard to make sure that the reporting for B Corp is efficient and embedded in our current reporting streams, but still allowing each of those subsidiaries to recognize and learn more about the kind of company that they are, because that's one of the huge benefits we see for our subsidiaries to become B Corps, is that they get to know their business in a really comprehensive way that they wouldn't have otherwise. So that balance is something that we will continue to work on. And then, of course, I think there's also the issue of awareness. And Sophie mentioned this before. If you aren't a sustainability professional or somebody who's interested in this, it can be hard to understand. And while we are becoming a B Corp at the global level as a whole company, because we believe in this as a model of business overall, we also know that consumers are struggling to choose the right products. And I struggle to choose the right products and to know what I should be looking for when I need to buy something. And we recognize that B Corp can help to answer some of those questions for consumers. And we would love for people to be able to know that and be able to recognize that B Corp is a label that they can trust, and it can help them to make those right choices. Because the more they're choosing the positive choice in terms of what they're buying, the better impact we're going to have, and the greater the scale of the impact that the B Corp community can have. And so that's something that we see as really important to increase the scale of our positive impact as a community. And it's something that we want to work on and continue working on with the B Corp community to build.
Thanks so much, Alex, for sharing more about your journey. What strikes me is clearly an opportunity to work amongst ourselves and collaborate much more. I mean, we have the B Movement Builder program, which is a clear opportunity to connect multinationals, support one another in the journey. But as you talk about the external opportunity to elevate the awareness around the B Corp movement, the certification, what it means, how that can influence consumers in making their purchasing decisions, the opportunity that all of us can take together to work toward that goal. I want to bring in one more question as we start to wind down this conversation. So before we let you guys go, I want to address the challenging year that we've all faced here in 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic has really upended business all over the world and has made our working lives very often unpredictable. Martha, you talked a little bit about what Givaudan has done to address the pandemic, but I wanted to ask all of you to share maybe in a few minutes what you're most proud of and how your company has responded to this crisis. Or what do you see as the biggest opportunity for the business in order to better respond? And perhaps we'll go back around in the same order. Hugo, I'd love to turn to you, and then Anne-Sophie, and then on.
No, it's not an easy question to answer in a few minutes, talking about how was our reactions and what we have been addressing the COVID emergency. But let's try to do it. Our answer was going back also to the principles which are driving the B Corp movement, have been to give an answer among three main directions. One are the patients, of course. The second one has been the people, and the third one has been the environment and the society. Among the patients, our first and clear goal has been always to assure the presence and the availability of our treatments to every single patient all around the world. And as you can imagine, it meant huge efforts in terms of production, in terms of sourcing of active ingredients and excipients around the world. And also, if you relate it to the point that we are a company which has a focus in respiratory, as you can imagine, the level of pressure we were facing at the beginning when basically facing a virus which is affecting mainly the respiratory area. So this was the first plan, and I have to say I'm really proud, and I will never stop to thank all our people in our company in what they have done, because I can assure that not a single patient all around the world ever faced an issue in finding the availability of one of our treatment. The second point was, as we said before, was to protect our people and the people, and to do it, we put in place, as I'm sure every company around the world, a number of actions in order to protect, to assure the social distancing, to introduce smart working, to define occupancy rates in our spaces, and also to assure the protection. And but another point what we did was, for example, we are providing serological tests to every single employee. Of course, has to be on a voluntary basis because of the data protection legislations in place. But we give it for free, and we provide it to every single employee within Chiesi, and we do it on a regular basis, not only once. Every 2 or 3 weeks, they can retest and to have a serological analysis. And then, in any case, we found a positive test. We have also an agreement with the university where we provide immediately, not only for the employee, but also for the family, and again, completely free, also the swab, with an answer which has been delivered, which can be delivered in less than 1 day. In 5-6 hours, there is also the result of it. So the second point was, as I said before, so to assure the patients. The second, to protect our people in any way, even not stopping our activities at all. And finally, what we tried and what we have been doing for the society and the communities. We have give contributions in many ways to almost more than 330 hospitals all around the world. We gave also help and contribution to almost 400 institutions, including associations, universities, charities, and so on. And we provided more than 400,000 protection devices and so on to everybody who was requiring our help. And on top of that, on total, we gave also a level of donations of more than 9 million euros. And this is not something which has been done only here in Italy, as I said before. And again, I'm really proud of it, of all our people, because this is an effort which has been done all around the affiliates, all around the world, and in all the places where we have located.
Wow, thank you very much, Hugo, for sharing. Anne-Sophie, the same question to you.
Yes, and it's impressive what Kiazi has just mentioned and shared. We are not that related to us like a pharmaceutical group, but what really made us proud is the commitment and solidarity that all of our workers had. So we don't have a food crisis also in addition to the health crisis. Our people continue to work in factories. They help each other when one team would be too overwhelmed. For example, the food service team brought support to those in retail, and also a lot of our sites make donation to help local communities, local population who have found themselves in situation of food insecurity. So yes, I think it was a perfect demonstration of how we are all interconnected and interdependent, and that's the good side of this health crisis. Is maybe it made us realize this more.
Thanks, Anne-Sophie. I'm going to turn the question to you, Martha, and then to you, Alex. We're going to have to be mindful of time, so these are going to have to be short and sweet. I apologize. Martha?
No problem. So Nathan, yeah, I mentioned a couple of examples already, but I think building on what Anne-Sophie was talking as well, the communities, and we've been trialing a social innovation challenge where we've invited 140 people to take part in an internal hackathon to think about how can we help create more sustainable solutions to some vulnerable communities coming out of COVID, but specifically related to our business areas of sanitation, health, hygiene, and nutrition.
And I can follow up on that. So from a Danone perspective, I think one thing I was really happy to see is that as a business, we had this recognition that the crisis represented a challenge to business overall, and that only the most resilient businesses will survive. And so B Corp represents that resilient sort of business model for us. And so we took the opportunity to accelerate our ambition on B Corp from 2030 down to 2025, giving us only five more years, and at the same time becoming an enterprise mission, as Nathan mentioned earlier. So this real commitment to embedding purpose in the heart of the business, I think was really positive. On a more practical sense, we also immediately set aside 300 million euros to support our most vulnerable value chain partners. So that's small businesses that we work with, small suppliers, also some of our social programs in Brazil and China, waste picker programs, and other programs to support those social impacts that we have, and we recognize that those vulnerable partners really needed that extra support, and we could provide it. So that was another thing I was really happy to see from Danone.
Well, Alex, Martha, Anne-Sophie, Hugo, thank you very much for being part of this conversation. It's been really inspiring for me. I hope for all of those that have been dialing in or at the event in Parma, I hope this has also been an inspiring conversation for you. For me, it suggests that there's a huge opportunity for multinationals to embark on a journey of purpose and to join us to work toward the ambition of certifying as a B Corp, and maybe considering something like the B Movement Builder program as an opportunity to really define that journey and define that framework for becoming the business that you'd like to be in the future. So we have a decade to get there, and look forward to working with all of you in the future. So thank you guys again, and thank you, Regeneration 2030.